All right, this is Moshe coming to you here with a part two. So apparently we had a local power outage here. It looked like they were changing the breakers or the fuses or something for the power. I don't know exactly what it was. And it was out for a while and we couldn't figure it out, but now it's back. So the broadcast was interrupted for 15 or 20 minutes, and well, I'm going to pick this up as a part two. So we left at North Korea being a real severe threat to South Korea. South Korea not really acting like they're going to take this laying down, and there's no Chinese or North Korean or South Korean or Taiwan or Japan airplanes, military or naval ships running around in the region with their transponders on, which is, I would say, highly suspicious. In other words, they're really all afraid of a war breaking out, and they don't want anybody on the other side of this war to know where they are. So things are rather serious right now, and something could break out. We don't know. It looks like it's tense. And North Korea is more or less a proxy of China. So China will prop North Korea up to attack South Korea, which will probably almost for sure bring Japan into the fracas, and Taiwan not necessarily so. And China could at any time, in their opinion, pull the plug by intervening and telling North Korea to cut it out. We're going to back off, but since we're in end times, this thing is probably going to go out of hand. Okay? That's the reality. Now, I better go jump into the live stream here. And, okay. Yeah, I want to make sure we had sound and picture. That's, all right, we do. Yeah. There was some, I think they were changing fuses or something. I don't know what it was, something with the electric grid. But I think it was local. And I don't know what it was. There was a guy working on the roof. He was using a power washer, and that might have done it, but I don't think so. I think it was something else. I don't know. But anyway, we're back in the saddle again. All right. So Israel is operating as a proxy of America. Ukraine is operating as a proxy of America, targeting Russia, and America's running Israel as a proxy, targeting Gaza, not so much Yemen, Gaza and Lebanon, and to some extent Syria and Iraq. Okay? Now, you hear all this talk about Biden, no, we don't want America doing this, we don't want, that's all lies. You think America talks openly on the media or about their plans for war and stuff like that? Come on, let's get real. America doesn't do that. So what comes out of Biden's mouth doesn't mean it's the truth. Okay? Now, Netanyahu rebels against Biden way more than um, Zelensky in Ukraine rebels against Biden. He kicks back a little tiny bit, but Netanyahu really kicks back. Okay. So you got these ex-generals running around all over YouTube and Twitter and social media all over the place. And they're telling tales about how Israel is, a bunch of lunatics and, well, they're lying to you. Let me tell you about the things that they never mention, okay? They never mention that uh, Iran is crazy and their satellites are crazy. They don't talk the truth to you. Um, they they just want to paint the picture to you that Israel's no good and rotten. And this is absolutely stemming from some portions of the American, military industrial complex for sure, political and whatever. But it's also coming from other sources as well, other motivations. Okay. Um, we recently heard a report, well, a news article, I think this is in the last few days, coming from an IRGC general of Iran. And he said that if America provokes Iran, they will hit every American warship and base within their capability, which means they would hit Kuwait, Bahrain, Qatar, UAE, um, Saudi Arabia, um, uh, Jordan, and there's that other country that's next to Saudi, and they may not hit that one, and that's a little one, and they may not hit. Um, they may not hit Qatar because they're friendly, but they'd hit most of the Middle East, you know, and they'd hit all the ships in the Middle East and stuff like that. Now, Iran makes a lot of empty threats, but still, you have to take it seriously. Um, they're, they're crazy, and there's a point where Iran will snap. Okay, Iran wants to run the Middle East. Iran wants to control the oil. Iran wants the um, to be a big shot, world power and stuff like that. Okay, um, they're they're nuts. Okay, and they don't understand what's really going on in the world, and they see things as not real clear. Okay, this BRICS thing is, a problem, and they have this meeting on the 22nd to the 24th in Russia. That's around the corner, and they're going to introduce the BRICS pay system and they're giving everybody that goes to the meeting a 500 ruble BRICS card that they can buy stuff with at the, I guess the gift shops, restaurants, bars, etc. near or around where the BRICS meeting will be in Russia, to show them how it'll work. And it's basically um, a currency they're developing to trade within the BRICS network. And they're going to shove out the NATO countries, maybe the EU countries, and definitely America and her allies. And then they're going to trade oil and other commodities freely without America's sanctions being able to work. And they're going to crush America economically. So America's in desperation to stop this, okay? And that's why I feel Iran is going to get hit. And I think this goes all the way back before, it goes back before October, what was it, October 7th, 2023. And this was planned this way to have Israel start cleaning up the Middle East. So when they hit Iran, the Iranian satellites are defunct because they didn't want to see a big blow up. So we took down Hamas, now we're stripping down Hezbollah, and we're also working in Syria, and we've been working in the Palestinian areas inside Israel, getting them whittled down to size. Iraq, not so much. So Yemen, we haven't done much with, okay? Now, there's a lot of these military types running around on the internet that are retired American military, and most of them have been out of the American military for a long time, like over 10 years, So their intel isn't very good, and their friends and buddies in the government, in the military, they've been out of the military a long time too, so they don't have any really good intel. They know stuff and they look at the news, and a lot of them are fibbing and they're lying. And they go on that Judge Neopol, whatever his name is, show, and they go on other shows all over social media, and they paint Israel to be a lunatic bad guy that's controlling the government of America. And that's the furthest thing that could ever be true. I mean, America doesn't like what Israel does in Gaza, and they withhold the weapons from Israel. They're still withholding weapons. They're nasty. They're mean to us. They push us around. They bully us. It's obvious Obama's involved some way, shape, or form, to me, in my opinion, with the Biden administration. I don't have any concrete proof of that, but that's what I believe. And he's half gone. I mean, he's not with it. He's Gaga land, that guy. Look at his wife, Big Mike. I mean, he's out of it, He's not normal. He's completely gone. And he's influencing Biden, who obviously has dementia-type symptoms of some sort, according to what everybody seems to be saying. I'm not a medical expert, but it looks like that to me, in my opinion. So, it's... Jake Sullivan and Blinken and Austin have never done anything very good in their time in service. What have they ever done? What have they ever diffused? Or, I can't think of any, in my humble opinion, any good things they've ever done. And they still stay there. And they all worked, Sullivan and Blinken and Austin worked under the Obama regime. What a coincidence. So things are getting very ugly. North Korea is likely to start attacking South Korea to start to pull America in different directions. North Korea and Iran in my opinion, are proxy states, very high order proxy states of China and Russia. Belarus is also in there, but not as high up. So North Korea has got a chance now, or an opportunity, or whatever, to go after South Korea. It looks that this is at a high probability. America has a base in South Korea. Before the hostilities increased, it had 28,000 military people there, and I don't know what it is now at all, but my guess is it's probably gone up to 35 or 40,000. I don't know. America probably has about 14 warships there in the region, Asia Pacific region, spread out. They have bases in Guam and all that. I heard today that America has about 1,000 aircraft, military aircraft in the Middle East now. America's got destroyers. Rest assured, where there's destroyers and aircraft carriers, there's submarines. Come on. Let's not kid ourselves. How many? I would think probably one or two with each aircraft carrier group, of which there should be two here by now, Truman and the Lincoln. So they probably have about 4 submarines. They might have 6. I don't know. What are they protecting against? Well, you know, some interference from someone that doesn't like Israel that has submarines. So China, Russia, I don't know. There's probably a very low level threat of Russia or China militarily intervening in the Middle East. It's much better for them to intervene in their own backyard. So what does that mean? It means like Russia could attack Romania or Poland or Latvia or Lithuania or Estonia or something like that, or Norway, you know, some easy mark, right? And China could attack Taiwan and Japan, and North Korea could attack South Korea, and the two of them would do their attacks together and create sheer turmoil in the Asia-Pacific theater, but the fighting, according to China, would not be on China turf, so they're not that worried about it. And the way North Korea is staging it, the battle would quickly fall on South Korea. Notice that in recent days, North Korea destroyed bridges, railway lines, and roads connecting North and South Korea. This was to prevent an incursion, an invasion by North Korea on the ground. Now they could still invade in the air. In addition, North Korea went about and tried to lay mines in the DMZ zone, separating the two of them, and South Korea stopped that. There was actually shots fired, so he gave up on that idea. So he's worried about an invasion on the ground. Why is he not worried about air attacks? Well, number one, he's 2 sheets to the wind, a little bit nuts, okay? The guy that runs North Korea. The second thing is, a lot of his stuff is dug in. His artillery and missile launchers are in the sides of, you know, hills and mountains, and, you know, he's got underground stuff. He's got his standard. It's not that easy to take him out. The way you really have to take him out and shut his firepower down is to roll in with the tanks and the troops and the helicopters and for air cover and go at it. But that's why he took out all the railway and the bridges and the roads, because to do that, they have to build new roads and things like that, and that takes days. And when you got a lunatic like the one running North Korea that has a very large supply of missiles, and he doesn't need them to go that far, and he has an amazing amount of artillery, huge amount, and he's using what's called rocket-propelled artillery shells, which can go up to 40 miles. So this guy got 700 pieces combined on the South Korean border, combined of what? Artillery and various missile launches. You know, pods that launch, 6, 8, 12 missiles. And they're not, I don't think, terribly long distance. So he can decimate, well into South Korea past the border. The base that America set up in South Korea is most probably, although that was set up a good 10, 15 years ago, it may have been out of the range of his missiles years ago, but now it may not be. This I don't know. I would guess he doesn't have that many missiles that could get there, but they would put their missile defense systems up, Patriots or whatever. And I'm not entirely sure he could really reach that far with accuracy at all, or if he can, maybe he doesn't have that many. I don't know. When they built the base, it was further than the range of his artillery, which can go 40 miles. Most artillery, like America has in NATO, if you use the right shells, you can get it to go 25 miles. His goes 40 because they're rocket-propelled shells. What that does to the accuracy, I don't know. It may have a negative effect on the accuracy. This I don't know. He doesn't have a good air force. He has old, crappy tanks. He has over 1 million in his army, but they're not real crackerjack soldiers, He just sent, I think it's 11 to 12,000 soldiers to Russia. They're in Russia now. They're being given Russian uniforms, training in Russian tactics to be deployed in Ukraine to help Russia. Now, this irritates the United States tremendously because the more help Russia gets from Iran with drones and missiles, and from China and from, North Korea, it drags on the Ukraine fight, which is designed to weaken Russia and get them to throw the towel in, or Russia hangs on and fights to the end, and when they're sufficiently weakened, their weapons storehouses are run down, their planes, their tanks, their soldiers, then NATO knocks them off. NATO is staged on the borders of Russia. The reason America is doing all this is BRICS. And these retired generals never tell you this. The media never tells you this. BRICS is out to destroy America, cut and dry. That's what brought October 7th on, to rally Israel to the cause. They didn't want to see Israel disappear because Israel's so useful for them to control the Middle East. So first came Hamas. Israel knocked off Hamas, and Biden's going over there putting all the sprinklings all over it. Oh, we want humanitarian aid, and we want this, and we want that, Okay, great, Meanwhile, he's giving us all kinds of weapons, and then the nasty guy says we can't occupy Gaza. Well, maybe he did that because he doesn't want to see Iran march on Gaza or some stupid thing like that, or go from Iraq to Syria and march on Israel. Because that's not his plan. Then he has to fight Iran on Syria and Iraq turf. That's not his emphasis. His emphasis is to get Iran and shut Iran down. Iran's trying to run the Middle East. I read on a Muslim publication, I put on my Telegram today, that Iran is redirecting missiles and rockets that they have towards American positions and ships in the Middle East. America has troops in Bahrain, Qatar, Kuwait, Oman, UAE, Saudi Arabia, and Jordan. They might have 30 or 40,000 troops here by now. I don't know. And I'm hearing that they got 1,000 aircraft in the Middle East. Now, America's got probably 13, 15,000 aircraft, so it's dropping the bucket to America, but it's a massive deployment. America's got two, I guess by now or tomorrow or something, the Harry Truman Aircraft Carrier Group will be in theater here in the Middle East. And the Abraham Lincoln Aircraft Carrier Group is here with small escort vessels. They each are running with about 3 escort vessels. I think destroyers, maybe one missile carrier or something like that. I think they're all destroyers. They don't talk about how many submarines, and they got other warships floating around. And, you know, yeah, these warships could do takedowns on missiles. That's for sure. But there's a lot of offensive weapons here. They need a war with Iran as they have a war with Russia. And America is using proxies just like Iran. Okay? They're using proxies just like China using North Korea. Okay? And Israel's a proxy of America, and they give Israel weapons like they give Ukraine. And if Ukraine doesn't behave, well, then they reel them in, and they have them come visit Washington, or they send a general there, and they hold weapons back, and then they straighten them out. And that's how they deal with Israel. October 7th was a let it happen thing. And a lot of Israelis are well aware of that. A lot of them. Okay? And America's been restraining Israel from going in there and absolutely doing a tap dance on Gaza's head and getting rid of the whole thing, which would be carpet bombings, carpet artillery shelling, and everything else. No. Because they don't want to see Iran come into Gaza. They want Iran where Iran is so they can knock it off. Okay? Russia seems to smell a rat because they withdrew troops from something like 17 or 14 Russian bases inside Syria. The Iranians are in Syria pretty good. Bashar Assad is apparently not in Russia anymore. He's back in Syria, but he's just living underground, keeping his mouth shut. He's not doing anything. You know, I got a problem with this thing not charging, and I don't know why. Hang on a minute. Reapply the plug, see if that was it. What's wrong? No. Let me see what I can find out here. Give me a second. No, that seems good. This seems good. Let's see if the power's on. Why this isn't working is a mystery to me. Let me see if I can finagle this around a little bit. I don't think that helped. It's not working. So what's wrong? I don't know what's wrong. Huh. I don't know. Let me put this someplace because it's going to go dead if I don't. Let's see if I can get a circuit breaker or something. I don't know where the problem's coming from. I'm a little bit confused. There's power in the room. I don't know what it is. I put it in another room and it's charging there. So I'm really at a loss as to what the heck's going on. I don't know. So I'll work without the other iPad. So there's going to be an attack on Iran, without a doubt. And it's supposed to be before the election, which may or may not be the case. And the attack, as I've told you, has to be taking out the missiles, you know. So what these idiot generals are talking about is they're lying to the people. They're saying, you know, Israel has failed to disable Hezbollah and all this stuff. Look, they're saying Iran's going to fire missiles on Israel if they invade Lebanon. Well, we've already been inside Lebanon for a few weeks. Maybe not in its fullness, but we're there. What Israel is doing, and now a lot of Hezbollah soldiers are surrendering to Israel. And we're finding out where there's more and more missiles. Like last night and today and yesterday, we've been attacking Beirut, more so yesterday and last night heavily, and this morning too. And we're hitting command centers and, you know, weapons, missiles, etc., supply depots. And we do this every day and every night. What we're trying to do is knock down a massive supply of missiles and missile launches, of which we've gotten a lot of those. Every time they launch, their launcher gets destroyed within 1 or 2 minutes, 3 minutes maybe. So they keep losing launchers. So now they're using more drones than they are missiles. So they're in trouble. And they're getting weaker and weaker. The amount of their missiles that they're slinging is down by a good 60%. Pretty soon it'll be down by 70%, a few days 80%, then 90%. And then we're ready for Iran. We don't want to start up with Iran and then Iran calls Hezbollah up on the phone and go, "Wow, wow, 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 everything you got, throw it at Israel now, the kitchen sink," you know. We don't want to deal with that. We want our interceptors to be free to deal with what Iran throws at us. Undoubtedly, Iran's going to throw something at us. Okay? So we want to have our interceptors, Iron Dome, Arrow 2, David Sling, you know, and now we got the THAAD system. We got one system from them, which is stupid. I mean, they send 100 soldiers over here to run one THAAD system? That's bad intel. It's probably 3 or 4, and we requested another one. You need 100 soldiers. Let's say you're running shifts. So you got 30 soldiers or 25 soldiers on a shift to run one THAAD system. I would think it's probably more like 4 or 5 guys. You know, so there's probably several THAAD systems here, and we requested another one. I expect there'd be, you know, one in Tel Aviv, one around Jerusalem, and I don't know where they put the others. It's hard for me to tell. Maybe at bases or one in Eilat. I don't know. now these guys are talking, they're saying, oh, by air attacks you can't win. Look at America in Vietnam. Look at America in Iraq. Look at America here. Look at America there. All right. You can't. I agree. He's right. You're not going to wipe out. In Gaza, we did not wipe them out with air attacks and artillery attacks. We had to go in. And the same is true in Lebanon. But are we really trying to wipe out Hezbollah, or are we trying to just reduce the threat level on Israel by about 90%? And the threat level from them is short-range missiles, medium-range missiles. They don't really have long-range missiles. Anti-tank weapons, which could go a couple of miles. And mortars they don't use anymore, and to prevent any kind of a ground incursion. So we keep finding out where their supplies are, where their command centers are, and we bomb them. We dropped something like 100 tons of explosives the other day on a command tunnel, a big tunnel they had. See, as these guys are getting captured and surrendering from Hezbollah, we get more intel from them. And then we attack the intel, and then more surrender. A lot of them joined Hezbollah because they were starving in Lebanon. Okay, and these generals tell you what crackerjack troops the Hezbollah has. Are you kidding me? They probably have a few. Maybe they got 2, 3, 4, 5,000 good troops. They don't have crack troops. Most of them, or a lot of them, are on reserve status and stuff like that. They can't win an all-out war with Israel. Oh, if Israel really invades Hezbollah in Lebanon, Iran will attack them with raining missiles down on their head. Well, these generals never talk about the big cyber attack the other day in Iran that the media in India covered extensively. Okay, they don't talk about that. They don't talk about the port refinery that got an explosion and caught on fire a few days ago, and they don't talk about some kind of explosion in Isfahan. No, they don't talk about that. They want everybody thinking Iran is doing well. Well, they're on the Iranian side of things. What do you think it is? They're siding with Iran. Other people probably side with Iran too in the United States. That's who they want. Then they're extremely anti-Israel, and they run around saying Israel controls the American Congress and America does what Israel wants. That's the stupidest thing I ever heard. What about the withholding the weapons? Does that sound like Israel controls the United States Congress? Are you serious? Of course not. Forcing Israel to put humanitarian aid in Gaza, which drags out the victory in Gaza, does that sound like it's something Israel would want to do? Telling us not to bomb Beirut, that might have been a lie. That may never have happened. I don't know. So what Israel is trying to do is just steadily and quickly, as fast as they can, deactivate the threat level from Lebanon, Hezbollah, via missiles and rockets. That's what we're trying to do. So when the attack comes on from Iran, we can handle the incoming missiles and rockets without having to worry about what's going to come in from Lebanon, Hezbollah. And Gaza can't do much of anything anymore. Now comes, what about the threat from Syria and Iraq? Well, Iraq we're not dealing with very much, because it's pretty far away, and that's going to limit the capabilities of them. The Syrians were attacking all sorts of stuff in Syria. We've destroyed the whole border area between Syria and Lebanon, so they can't easily smuggle weapons in. There's no roads and stuff like that. Now these lying generals are sitting there saying, oh, and I believe they're liars, that's my opinion, is sitting there saying, that there's all sorts of other terrorist groups from the Middle East, Muslim terrorist groups that favor Iran and Hamas and Hezbollah, And they've gone into Syria to help bolster Syria. They've gone into Lebanon to help bolster Lebanon. Well, to some extent, this is entirely true, but I don't think it's that many. And the other thing that you really need to understand about this is that what the heck does a guy running around with an AK-47, what kind of threat level is that kind of a character on the modern day battlefield? An extremely minimalistic threat. We've got the border saturated with soldiers, armored vehicles, tanks, mobile artillery, machine guns mounted on the tanks and the mobile artillery. We got mortars, we got towed artillery, we got helicopters, we got jets, we got everything. They're not getting through the border. That's absurd. They're just going to die. It'd be like a bonsai charge against a bunch of brick walls or something. They just mow them down. If they want to commit suicide, that's fine. They're not going to get anywhere. It's not going to work for them. So what are these clowns trying to do? That's a good question. I don't know. They're trying to keep the fighting going. They do manage to throw some missiles and rockets at us. Every time they launch a missile, we blow the missile launcher up so it can't be used again. And then now they're using more with drones, and the drones are being taken down rather easily. So we keep attacking them day and night. This is one of the reasons the attack on Iran hasn't gone yet. The other reason is probably we wanted that extra THAAD system, and that's probably not here yet, or if it is here, it isn't set up yet. And we want, we've been waiting for the Harry Truman aircraft carrier group to get here, and I assume it's here by now, but I don't know for sure, maybe another day or two. And I don't know what other equipment America is doing, but America is here loaded for bear. They're loaded for not just defensive work, offensive work. Why? Why? Because the whole plan was to light the Middle East up. They like this fake Israel that Netanyahu runs, and they wanted to strip down the enemies of Israel, which would be the Houthis, who America and the UK have bombed extensively. Now, these generals are telling you, oh, they haven't stopped the Houthis, have they? Nonsense. The Houthis are maybe attacking a ship every 10 days, every 14 days now. It used to be they'd get 2 or 3 in a day. They have hurt the Houthis. And the Houthis are criminally insane murderers, and they will keep trying, but they have been severely hit. No doubt about it. Israel hit them a couple of times. America and UK hit them dozens of times. Okay? So every now and then they muster up some kind of a weapon and shoot it at a ship going through the area or something like that. Now, shipping is still somewhat unsafe in the Red Sea, but they've been hit. Gaza's basically 98, 99, probably 99% deactivated in terms of being a threat to Israel. Although you have to contain them so they don't charge in, but in terms of launching stuff into Israel, they're 99% deactivated. Hezbollah is probably 60%, maybe it's even 65 or 70% now deactivated, and it's going to keep going down. So when the Iran thing happens, we're not going to get unloaded on by Hezbollah, lots of missiles distracting our missile defense systems away from Iran. And that's why we've been going into Syria by boots on the ground, aircraft, missiles, blah, 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 and deactivating a lot of stuff in Syria belonging to the IRGC, things like that. Okay? And when Israel hits Iran, it's going to hit them on their military capability. They're going to hit the missile launch sites, the air bases, the command centers, the intelligence centers, the radars, this sort of stuff. Once the Iranian missile launch capability is knocked down big time, then Israel will probably proceed to hit the oil and gas industry, which will be very painful for Iran. And to hit the nuclear sites, they're going to probably need the help of America, because these sites could be a few hundred feet underground, and it's going to take America's unique, massive bunker buster bombs to do it. And these guys are trying to portray to you that, oh, Israel is dragging America into the war. America dragged Israel into the war to provoke Iran, to get rid of Iran because of BRICS. The people that sell oil in BRICS are predominantly Russia and Iran. Okay? UAE is in BRICS, so they sell some too. But they could push the UAE out of it, you know? And that's who they're fighting with now. And America's using proxies, Ukraine and Israel. And they want to get rid of BRICS, because if America doesn't get rid of BRICS, America will be dead. Their economy will be garbage 90 days after the BRICS pay system, the digital currency blockchain stuff, gets going. Within 90 days, the American dollar will be so bad, inflation will be so high, the people will be talking about overthrowing the government of America. It's just going to be awful. Because there's going to be no demand for the dollar. America's not going to know what to do. How's it going to fund its government? How's it going to fund its war machine? It can't. So they don't have a choice. If they don't take out Iran and Russia, who are the two biggest purveyors or sellers of oil in BRICS, they're in really bad shape. Now, what's Iran doing? Iran is threatening to not only attack all the American bases in the Middle East and the American warships in the Middle East, they're also threatening to attack all the oil-producing countries' refineries and ports and piers in the Middle East, like Kuwait, Bahrain, maybe Qatar they'll leave alone, UAE, maybe they'll leave them alone, Oman, maybe they'll leave them alone, but they're not going to leave Kuwait alone, they're not going to leave Jordan alone, they're not going to leave Saudi Arabia alone, and they're probably not going to leave Bahrain alone, and probably not the UAE either. So they're going to shut down a massive amount of oil in the Middle East, and then Iran, has created a real mess for Europe and America, plus South America and parts of Asia, many people, because the oil futures price is going to soar when they see this start happening. And I used to think it would go maybe up to 200 a barrel, but other people are saying it can go to 350 or 500 a barrel, which will be crippling. So America doesn't want to see that happen, as evidenced by the warships and the 1,000 planes and many thousands of soldiers in the Middle East. They don't want that to happen at all. BRICS could fall apart if you get rid of Iran or get rid of their oil. You can leave them in BRICS and blow their refineries up, and so what? And you get rid of Russia. Now notice Ukraine keeps blowing up oil refineries in Russia that it could reach. Now that hurts Russia, since Russia and Iran are going to be the big purveyors or sellers of oil in BRICS. So if they're defunct, well, BRICS could, it could fall apart. And that's why America's doing this. They want to justify a way to get Iran and Russia out of it. India and China are huge countries in BRICS, but they're consumers of energy, not sellers. So if they're there, they could sell food or whatever they want to sell without using the US dollar, but it's not going to be anywhere near as devastating as the massive amount of dollars that move every day for oil, and that's what they're afraid of. And these retired military characters will flat out not tell you that. They make believe the whole BRICS thing doesn't exist. And it does exist. And it's big time. And it's dangerous to the United States and the NATO countries like strychnine. And they will go to war against that. And that's what Iran is using. Well, actually, American NATO is using Ukraine, and they're using Israel. What did Israel do? It took down Hamas. It's in the process of finishing off Hezbollah. It put some good dents into the Houthis in Yemen, and we put some rather substantial dents into the crazy Muslim murdering terrorist groups in Syria. So it makes it easier to take down Iraq. And that's what Ukraine is doing. They're making it easier to take down Russia by continually weakening it, making it use up its warehouses of weapons, killing their soldiers, ruining morale, even occupying part of Russia. And then these liars, run around telling you, oh, Russia's winning the war. For crying out loud, they haven't even gotten back that 135 square kilometers of land that Ukraine is occupying with NATO, I understand. So I'm not really sure Russia could be a serious threat to Israel when the attack on Iran comes. But then again, it's end times. And Russia's not run by the most sane, stable, balanced person in the world. Russia may try to get in the fight and help Iran. I don't know. I don't think so. And I don't think China will. I think the best way for Russia to get into the fight is to hit targets in Europe like Poland and Romania and start the war there. Or knock off some really weak countries like Latvia, Lithuania, or Estonia. Invade them. And cause America to get all sorts of scared and deploy all sorts of stuff to Europe. And they're already scared and deployed all sorts of stuff to the Mediterranean as well as the Asia Pacific theater. And then have the puppet proxy North Korea hit South Korea. And the idea with the snare on America is to have America fighting in several theaters at the same time and weaken it, and then comes the sleeper agents, and they can't draw troops back home to defend against them, and away goes America down the drain. Roto-Rooter. And that's what's going on. And will it work? Yeah, America's going to go down the drain. They're in a snare, and they can't get out of it, and they don't know what they're going to do about it. Israel may not be able to handle Iran without the Americans. In other words, we could attack Iran and bust up all sorts of stuff with our F-35s and follow up with F-16s and stuff. But, we have to disable their missile launch capability, which is no mean feat. So we really need America to help with that. If we do it without American help, what's likely to happen is Iran may pelt a few thousand missiles down on Israel. But before America gets in to help, they're going to want to provoke Iran to do some really outrageous things. And that, like attack their bases and warships in the Middle East, that would do it. So Iran is really helping Israel if it goes through with these attacks. It's a little bit of a complicated thing, but it's not that hard and difficult to understand. So that's really where we're at. And will it happen before the election? That's what they're saying. I don't know. Maybe Netanyahu wants to wait till after the election to see whose music he has to dance to. If he has to dance to Kamala Harris's music, then maybe Netanyahu wants to, turn the heat down and just leave things alone for a while. If Trump wins, then Netanyahu will probably get more aggressive. We know Iran and Iran and Syria and Iraq are going to get it. It's from Jeremiah 49, the last few verses, from their enemies. So it's going to be multiple countries attacking. That we know. We know Edom's going to get it. That's Yemen. Probably in the same fell swoop. Will Damascus become a ruinous heap in the same the same swoop of attacks? Likely. And Iraq too, because they're troublemaking proxies of Iran. And Hezbollah will suffer. So as we go to the beginning of redemption, the year of redemption, the Shannat year, which is not a precise 360-day biblical year, it could be much longer. We just wait and watch as these things go. Until we get into redemption, there's not going to be any land coming back to us that I could see. So we just got to put up with it. But it sure seems to me that God has his hand protecting Israel, because the damage from these rockets and missiles is so small. Now, you have to remember that Jehovah has infinite power. So if Iran was to launch 950,000 rockets in one day at Israel, could Jehovah stop all of them? Yeah. Could he make them all fail and miss and not cause damage or kill anybody? Absolutely. He has infinite power and wisdom. Yeshua probably has the same type of thing, but he's submitted to Jehovah. So, yeah, so we just got to wait and go through that, Please keep the prayers coming that I get all my packages. Please pray for me and my wife, Rivka, for our peace, safety, protection, joy, healing, and pray for our finances, which need some prayer. And pray for our animals and pets that are all rescues, that they be happy, healthy, and whole. Pray for better videos. Pray for the peace of Yerushalayim. And I send my shalom to all those who love Yeshua HaMashiach. And I hope you got something out of this. Please hit the thumbs up button, subscribe, and so forth. And I'm out. Thank you.